In terms of the important mission of being in charge of your life, one very important issue is your finances. Your finances are one of the areas where you invest. You invest the energy that you saved by working or having invested and gotten the money, and you want to be in charge of your life, and you want to make sure that you can keep and hold on to the finances that you have and increase them if possible. Now, we are in an inflationary environment. Today is the 14th of June 2022. The stock market has been crashing the last few weeks. We are now, the S&P 500 is in a territory which is 20% below the all-time high, which means we are in bear territory. Cryptocurrencies are crashing. Today, Bitcoin was around 22,000 something. Gold and silver are not holding up strong at all. They're very weak. Basically, there is possibly manipulation in the market for the metals. What does that mean for the consumer? The consumer faces very high prices. The gas at the pump is extremely high. If you buy goods for eating, food prices have increased incredibly over the last few months, even years. So people are facing extreme times. And before that, we had the issue with the masks and all of these things concerning the situation that we were facing the last 2.5 years around the epidemic. Now, this is a very serious situation. Let's imagine you and I were the people printing the money. Let's imagine we are in charge of the central bank, just for sake of understanding of how to deal with these issues. If we go into this position and try to imagine how we would deal with such a situation, now obviously the power game, if you're the money printer, obviously you would look at your people, at your sheeple in a distinct way, and if you go into that position, it doesn't really make sense to crash the market in late June. Now is the period of light. The longest day of the Northern Hemisphere will be on the 21st of June, 2022, as every year. It's always on the 21st of June. That's the day where the evening has sunlight until the latest hour. So if you crash a market now, it doesn't make much sense. Plus, what did the Fed say last week? The Fed was talking about inflationary pressure, and that inflation is a lot higher than expected. Now, how do you deal with this? The stock market lost, and the S&P went down, and all of the other indices, they all went down. But if you have inflation, the market should go up because everything is inflated, right? And everything will be inflated more. So by going into this position of playing the game of being the person who, or the people who print the money, it doesn't make sense to crash the market in June. People, face tougher times when the market crashes in October or November. This is in the northern hemisphere when cold sets in. This is the time when people also deal with heating issues and so forth. So that period is a lot more likely to be the period when the markets are to be crashed. Interestingly, there was a crash scenario played by some central banks and some major countries. If I'm not mistaken, it took place in the fall, winter of last year in Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken. And there were about plus minus a dozen countries that tried to play the scenario of game theory of how the reset of the monetary system could take place and what the repercussions would be. It does look like the market will be crashed either this year in fall 22, around October, November 22. And the market being crashed means like 70% going down. Or in the year 2023, the market will be crashed. Or even 2024. Now, the question is, are the central banks ready with the digital currency yet? Because if there's a reset of the financial system, the central bank digital currency needs to be ready to be implemented, because this probably will be played in a way that the digital currency is supposed to play the role of the savior, play the role of the gift, the present being presented by the authorities to the people, that there's a safe haven, there's something to hold on to in this time of difficulty. So the question is, are these digital currencies ready? Have they been tested? And since we just had the other test with the epidemic, the question is if this will play out immediately. So possibly it will not necessarily occur in the winter of 22, possibly in 23 or 24 or even beyond that. Because if there are scenarios, there was just game theory around the epidemic tested, and if the financial system crashes 1 year later, this would actually show desperation. It could well be that the crashing, the real crash, will occur a little bit later. Plus, if you look at the large players who are part of the printing of the money, where you basically in a digital way just create money out of nothing, if you're in this position, then it does make sense to have a good entry point. And that is probably why now in late June and possibly July and possibly also in September, October 22, the market will be crashed to a certain extent, and it may look like this is now the real crash. In order for the really large participants to enter the market, because you need a good entry point in order to make a good profit. And if you look at the curve of the S&P 500 and the Dow Industrial and many other indices, as I said, we're roughly 20% below the all-time high. So probably the curve will shoot up extremely, shoot up to the sky. We haven't seen the shoot to the extreme sky yet. And this will probably happen before the crash. So this is what I'm waiting for. Of course, we have to watch the 10-year yield. We have to watch what's happening in this field, and we have to watch many factors. And in terms of deep self power, for yourself to be empowered, it is definitely important that you have a good portfolio, that you have prepared in terms of being able to heat your house in whatever way that may be, that you don't face the cold in the winter in the northern hemisphere, obviously also in the southern hemisphere when there's winter there. And then it also looks like a good hedge to have to enter cryptocurrencies now. Cryptocurrencies are very low, and also gold and silver is a good play, since we know that gold and silver have been battered to the ground, and that there's a lot more potential in this area. And also gold and silver stocks make a lot of sense. So it is important to prepare also mentally, in terms of your spirit, in terms of being strong in this area also, that you anticipate what can happen, what could happen, and in order to be able to have options to play the game. So being out in nature and gaining strength in nature, understanding what your mission in life is, also looking at herbs and the healing powers of herbs, as opposed to pharma. I very strongly believe in herbs. There's a lot of strength there, and basically, being out there in nature. This is very important for the human being. So of course, the pure financial preparation may be a pseudo need. I do talk in my videos about pseudo needs and true needs. And nevertheless, since we are in this system, it does make sense to also play the game and understand how the pseudo need of money works. Money is a part of our lives, and money is important at the end of the day. We can't neglect it. It is important for me, it is important to participate in the stock market, to participate in cryptos, to participate in gold and silver. Of course, it's best to be in the physical area rather than in the paper gold and silver. So what is my mission? My mission is to bring spiritual ideas, and at the same time having both of your feet on the ground, and also looking at playing the game right in the system, in the monetary system. We can't neglect it. It's part of it. We are all part of it. So it is important to maybe for people who are too much on the financial side, to also get grounded in the spiritual area, and for people who are purely spiritual, that they also look at investing also in this pseudo need area, because at the end of the day it does bring food on the table, and it does bring a roof above your head. And it is extremely important from my point of view to combine both the spiritual world. Spiritual world does not mean religions. Religions means relying on someone else. It means you have a middleman who takes care of everything. And from my perspective, it is, you can go direct. You can go directly to source, to nature, as you can see here in the background, swimming in the lake, being grounded, being in the forest, watching the animals, and so forth. This is extremely important for humans. And at the same time, it is important to invest in yourself, and also to play the financial game, and not neglect it. So it is a matter of yin and yang, and putting it together. Those worlds of spirituality, and those worlds of finance, and those worlds of the narrative that we do face out there. And it's a matter of having this yin yang force, where we have this dualism, where we unite powers in this dualism. This is what makes us strong. Okay, this is my message for today, the 22nd of June 22. I wish you all the best.